Team INTZ, but a shot at redemption here today and looking to get back to their winning ways. We're into Champion Select between Furia and Liberty. Trajan, take it away.
Thank you very much, Yeso. We see a lot of the usual bans still on this patch 13-13. The Renekton joining them is quite interesting that Kiari's earned himself that one. But the first pick, Jace, coming in for presumably Tuts. Of course, it is a flex, but we're finally seeing Tuts drop the Annies and the Aries, man. I'm very excited about this.
Yeah, Tuts played a lot of Jace in the past, but this split, 3 champions. Even the Syndra last game kind of surprised me when Tuts picked up because it has been the Annie Ari show, as you mentioned. But it could still be for that top lane. But how this split has been on tank utility duty. Ornn and Poppy comes to mind, but did play carries last split quite a bit back in Academy. So, you know, there's still a chance that it could be flexed around. We're seeing the Maokai Sejuani, as we mentioned. Vi getting nerfed a little bit, still banned out even despite that. And Wukong getting nerfed does mean that these tank junglers have risen in terms of their priority.
See the Ashe locked in for the Furia bot lane as well. Of course, could be support and AD carry. We know both of these players definitely have the hands to do either. And we'll see what they want to pair it up with. We have seen the Ashe come back a little bit more, sometimes with the Triforce build, you know, that high CDR, just a lot of ultimates coming through. That was previously paired with a Tristana, and sometimes, but that has already been banned away. So we'll see what the option is for Furia if they want to have another damage strat to play that with, as the Gwen lock-in for Liberty as their top side for Kiari. So it's not a Renekton, but it's still very much a carry option up there.
And this excites me, Trajan, because this will be the first time we're seeing Kiari. Actually, well, I guess you could call Jax a late game scaling champion, but the second time, shall we say, that we've seen Kiari on a late game scaling champion, and certainly one that can take over a game. If we're saying that Liberty, Kiari is their rock, is their best player, then I'm glad to see him on a carry while Avenger plays maybe a bit more utility, a bit more safer with that Emperor's Divide for Azir. Now Furia, they're going to be looking for a bot laner and a top laner, but both, or maybe mid laner, but it's all flex, it's all influx, and that means for Liberty, their ban's a little bit harder to target, whereas Liberty very clearly want a bot lane, and Furia can just pinch that pool.
Exactly. The first Liberty ban going towards that top side, trying to make sure Kiari has a good matchup to set himself up for success in this game. Avenger on the Azir is interesting to me as well. We've seen some big Azirs come back into play in the CBLOL as of the last couple of patches, but Avenger, I don't think he's been one of them just yet, and we haven't seen quite as much as we have in the past from this player. The final ban's rounding out the Poppy, another top lane influence. The Poppy from Matau has certainly been his best champion in my estimation, so a good takeaway there. And the Rel, the final ban for Furia. So let's see what these final picks look like.
Yeah, Furia probably still wanting to pick up some more disengage for their team, whether it be from the support role. Janna is an option. In the top lane, Poppy would have been perfect for that. So I really respect and like the Poppy ban that's coming through from Liberty. Now, the bot lane from Liberty, they're opting to save their support as counter pick, which makes a lot of sense to me. Your AD carry, just pick a skiller, pick something safe. Aphelios, the jack of all trades, was still available. He can do everything and anything. Did get a bit of a nerf, but I'm going to be honest, Severum nerf, the Sentry Gun nerf, isn't going to do much. Gravitum, lowered from 3.5 to 2.5, doesn't matter either. You're applying that slow so consistently that it doesn't matter. And instead, Furia, they're not picking disengage. Kennen is an all-in chap.
Okay. Matau showing us something. The subtlety has been left by the wayside. We're going very active and engaged on this top side, so it is going to be the mid Jace for Tuts as well, which I'm very interested in, and we'll see what this last support pick is going to be. Currently hovered on the Rakan. I like the Aphelios for Juliera, as you touched up, of course, can match the Ashe's range in that lane with the use of the Calibrum, so it doesn't get bullied and pushed around as much as the other meta picks like Kai'Sa and maybe even Xayah would be in the laning phase, as the Rakan locked in for Furia. So they have great engaged duels coming out of that bot lane.
Yeah, a little bit split from Furia. Half of them want to poke. You've got the Ashe, you've got the Jace. They need to land the poke first. You've got Maokai to give you that disengage, stop the engage from coming through. And then it feels like they went, okay, we want some engage threat, and we'll double down. And now they've got options to go in. But Liberty, there's that counter pick. And I called it for lane Trajan, but Renata's going to do more than laning. We've seen the hostile takeover do so much work already.
Yeah, the Renatas have been huge in the CBLOL when they come out. Really massive hostile takeovers. Now, Yeso, give us your takes on this draft. Do you think anything's out of place, or did you more or less expect what we've seen?
I would say the only thing out of place for me is I'm not really feeling the B1 Jace. Of course, things changing here between patches, so maybe that Jace is jumping up in priority for the mid laners, but it is 1 and 6 in the CBLOL so far this split, so it has not been very successful. So we'll definitely keep an eye on Tuts there on that pick in particular. But hey, I'm a big fan of this champion select. Plenty of go buttons, tons of crowd control. It's going to be a very scrappy game, and I mean, RFC, you got to be looking forward to the team fights between these two teams, right?
Yeah, that's the light way of putting it. I am concerned about the team fights for Furia specifically. I think Liberty are great on that team fight front. Like, they were drafting for that in the first place. They've got great split push with Gwen as well. They're more than happy, which is why I was surprised when we saw the Rakan Kennen double pivot for Furia getting into this. And to me, it's the biggest question. Kind of team fight peripheral, I guess. It's less about the actual team fight and more about when Furia are going to look to engage the team fights. When do they decide, hey, we've poked them down enough?
We'll keep an eye on it for sure. Should be a very spicy game to start the day. Furia at 4-4, looking to return to their winning ways. Liberty hoping to close out this first round robin with an impressive victory against a Furia team that has looked very strong this split. Kennen, Sejuani, and plenty more team fighting abilities coming to the Rift. We're ready for our first game of the day. Trajan and Armsy, I'm going to hand it over to you gentlemen. Have some fun.
Thank you very much, yeah. So you're absolutely correct. The team fights are going to be insane. So now, who are we keeping our eyes on, right? We've got to keep an eye on Batao on this Kennen. I wanted to see more out of him. This is a champion that he can show more to us on this Kennen pick. So I'm looking for that. I'm looking for Tuts Jace and see how comfortable he looks on a very different speeder champion in that lane as well. So Furia, definitely some things to keep their eye on. And yeah, for Liberty, it's much more about the way they play together, right? It's about that mid-game, about the team fighting. Can they actually shape up in those later stages?
Yeah, and Trajan, my eyes in the top lane for Batao because he's played Poppy, Ornn, Cassante, and Gnar. And he has not won off of Ornn and Poppy. So picking something like a Kennen, which is an aggressive engage style champion, which is also, by the way, expected to somewhat win the lane. In the past, we had seen Kennen as a soft counter to Gwen because you can get inside the Hallowed Mist to get that slicing Maelstrom off. When the Hallowed Mist is down, you outrange her as well. So that's supposed to be a lane counter. And you want to talk about Batao being a subtle top laner? There's nothing subtle about this one, Trajan. He's got to smash, or else my questions just increase.
Yeah, for sure. And if you let Chiari do his business on a carrier like Gwen as well, we know that he is on form right now. He will take that advantage and run with it. He's gone for the exhaust though with the teleport, so could look at this as a respect pick, right? To be scared of what Batao can do, or it could be a I'm now on top of you and you can't get away from me kind of pick.
I think exhaust against Kennen in general is really, really good. One of the big reasons why we saw wombo combos, things like Diana Yasuo sort of go out of style, was because if you bring exhaust, you nullify a lot of what they bring to the table. And sure, Kennen's stuns will still go through, and Slicing Maelstrom, of course, really strong engage through that way. But realistically, you are picking the Kennen also for the damage that he can pump out in these team fights. A single exhaust nullifies that. So I love that pick from Chiari. It's not the Ignite for lane. It's not for the 1v1 only. It does give you 1v1, but it also helps your team out massively.
Absolutely does. As we pan down to the bot lane and see them trading away. IU on this Ashe. We haven't seen too much of it so far. Starting to come back into the meta, getting aggressive with the volleys, and Zai finds the knock up onto Juliera as well. Trade is pretty favorable for Furia, but with this Ashe, right, you've got the longsword start, implies a Triforce first to me because you want to get that item on deck as soon as possible. So it's less scaling DPS, right? It's more utility. How do you feel about this pick for IU, specifically in the bot lane, and also for Furia's comp that they built?
So, IU and Zai, two of them have played Ashe once this year, between the two of them. And spoiler, it wasn't Zai who played it. It was IU, Juliera, kind of getting bullied down. And IU was playing support back then when he played the Ashe. So, if you're worried about a more utility-oriented Ashe situation, I'm not. IU said it before and looked good, and now he'll have more damage in gold, actually.
Yeah, absolutely will. The Triforce is not a weak item, you know. I don't want to imply that Triforce doesn't do any damage or anything like this, so we'll see how he does. But Juliera, of course, with the Cull start that we see so much on Aphelios, will be scaling up on this crit 80 carry, this champion that has been murdering damage charts all the way through this split. So Juliera with a champion to make some of that impact, we're still waiting to see. Currently AC up on this top side, the Sejuani, the aggressive jungler that AC is, might look to punish Batao if he's too far up in this lane for long.
Yeah, good word from Batao, knowing that he wants to play aggressive. And Batao winning out this top lane pretty well, taking advantage of that range to bully out Chiari. That's exactly what we want to see. Goot as well, same sort of pathing, starting from the bot side, ending up near the top side. And I'm curious to see if they actually try and force a gank onto Gwen. She is very vulnerable to Maokai ganks, especially early on. Pre-6, Gwen is not that 1v2 monster that we've seen her become once she gets that needlework.
Doesn't really have the HP or the mana to mount a strong defense. Does have the exhaust, which might be a difference maker. Walks up to the brush, puts himself in danger. Flashes back to tower. Out comes the hallowed mist and the exhaust onto Kennen. Kiari will skip away alive for now as AC comes in for the counter onto Goot. The flail flashes in back for the 1 versus 2 off the stun. Goot re-engages. He's got no other option.
Okay.
Blood for AC in the 1 versus 2.
Let's go, Trajan. And Liberty. Liberty is a good early game team. This is why. AC knows. And Kiari was so low. It's a 2v1 situation. And I want to remind you, Goot wasn't even that low after that gank. He was, what, half health? And AC's just like, that's fine. I know this. We got this. I'm on Sejuani. I'm attacked. Doesn't matter. I got base damage. Let's finish this off. And that buys so much space as well for Kiari. Kiari gets to TP back and then doesn't have to worry about getting redove, about getting punished. And that sets Goot behind as well.
Love the confidence from AC, always very active in that early stage. As the first blood to play with now, as we see the Liberty bot lane crashing in that wave before Goot can look for an angle as well. So Felios and Renata coming out of those early trades pretty decently. AC now around the mid lane. They have the vision advantage, but Tuts has given them a wide berth, Avenger with the TP back to mid.
Yeah, and I can only imagine the comms AC's probably like, hey, I want to take Raptors, and Avengers like, no, I want a base.
No,
because AC was kind of in position to do that. And okay, we get to rewatch the gank here. Solid from Goot and Vital. I think that is the right call. You saw that the exhaust had to go down. And Goot, okay, I said 50%. He's at 60, 70%, and AC's just like, I can take this. I didn't even think Sejuani did that much damage, and that's in the face of Vital just chipping away the entire time.
Yeah, let him know, AC. You gave him the business right there. Confidence spilling over even onto the player cam. That's that goal to play with now. We see both junglers around the mid lane. Goot on vision, or was, I should say, not the jungle on the bot side. Sejuani still coming up the river. Making sure that Avenger is not at risk. Having just TP back, a death would be pretty unfortunate for him. And the 3 versus 2, not playable for Furia.
Interesting. It's very common to see supports roam to mid after their first space. I saw Walls kind of paddling upwards a little bit, and I was wondering, where are they going? Herald hasn't even spawned yet. We can't look for this Avenger now. Getting the business end of the supports.
Yeah, Zai with the knockup doesn't quite find it with the grand entrance, and Moss with the handshake will keep him topped up. Avenger doing decently with the pressure in this mid lane. Of course, we don't see him on the scaling mages as often these days, or even ever really. We never really considered him to be super confident. It's not his bread and butter style of the scaling late game DPS mages like Azir, but there's still plenty of playmaking potential there, right? The shuffles can be massive, and Avenger has certainly not been sleeping in this split. Even on the Ares, he's been trying to make a lot of work happen.
Yeah, and for Avenger, you don't have to be House this game, right? You don't have to be the primary engager for your team. You've got a Sejuani for that. And when you look at what Furia have as well, you know that eventually they'll want to engage. So if anything, Avenger is going to be playing that skill and control mage who sits back, Emperor's divides Patao when he comes in there with that seismic motion, when Zai is trying to use the battle dance to get into back lines. It's all about the defense for Liberty, which is actually kind of surprising when we consider that Liberty, up to this point, has been that early game aggressive team. They're the ones to make action happen. But this game, they're actually the ones who kind of want to sit back and skill with a Gwen, with an Azir, with an Aphelios.
Perhaps they're like, it's a comp diff, man. We don't have any late game
Maybe,
champions. That's why we're losing. That's why it doesn't work. I mean, I don't necessarily think that's 100% true, but they do have the late game now, right? The composition at least is strong in that later stage.
Yeah.
And again, the early game, not really a problem. They managed to get that first blood up. They're keeping the gold even against the likes of a Jace and that Kennen matchup in top lane, the very oppressive matchups in those solo lanes, and they are doing just fine for themselves. So potentially the onus onto Furia to start using those engage tools that they have as we are approaching level 6 across the board now.
And we joke about the playground squabble between Furia kids and Libertines, but Furia is a remarkably disciplined team. So generally, their early game tends not to be quite as explosive for the most part. This game, I do expect them to be the ones who have to decide what they want to do. One thing we touched about, they have good poke with Ashe and Jace, but the thing with the poke composition is that always benefits you more if you can set up first. Insta cleanse from Juliera, but Zai's doubling down.
Still knocked up, both junglers on the way. Was on the front line trying to keep this one going. Out comes Julio with the ultimate, the Moonlight Vigil, on a perfect cleanse again from IU to get away from the Glacial Prison. Re-engage from Goot, but the bot lane HP bars are not looking good. And Liberty will get away with more HP across the board, but no one goes down. A lot of ultimates blown, not buttons pressed in that bot lane fight.
Yeah, and surprisingly, nobody really drops there. I want to highlight AC in that fight a little bit, because AC just stood there tanking IU. And it looked like I was just tickling him. The Ashe damage without that Trinity Force is just not doing anything, with the Noon Quiver picked up as well. That's not a combat item. That's more for farming. It gives you bonus damage to minions, not to champions.
Yeah, exactly. It is a slower start, for the Ashe on this build, and it's going to be about setting up for like Tots and Vital to get that value done, as Liberty will secure the first dragon of the game as a benefit for winning that bot lane fight. See Vital still pressuring on that top side. He has started to open up a pretty decent CS lead. He's getting the value out of this pick that you're supposed to get.
Yeah, that is huge, and that's exactly what you want to see from your Kennen, and that's good for Furia, because they just lost that bot side. Unfortunately, despite the Ashe, the utility, you don't have the damage to really force those fights, so you can't secure Dragon, but thankfully, because Vital has top side, even though AC looked top immediately, Liberty's not going to try and force that. They know they're going to lose on that top off the map, so it's just a herald for Dragon play, and then it becomes down to who can do more with what objectives they've picked up. We're seeing Zai, of course, in that mid lane, trying to make something happen a little bit, but I do think it's Liberty still on that front foot with that pressure from Avenger.
Yeah, a lot of focus around this mid lane from both sides so far. Junglers, supports rotating through to kind of anticipate and avoid each other's plays, as now Liberty are forging deep into the jungle here. They are on vision, and IU is aware of what's potentially coming his way as the blast cone gives them access, but he's holding the tower, and Furia instead rotating people through to try and support him. Liberty hesitating, not pulling the trigger, maybe decided to back out instead. Will Furia let them do this? Ashe ult is done, in goes Goot. Knocks back was the hostile takeover is there, but Juliera firing away. Tots rotates through, blocked out by the Emperor's Divide, entirely stifles the Jace from rotating. And Furia still looking for a little bit more. Zai with the quickness splashes in, catches both, again on the support. They have the damage, surely Wasp will go down, and Goot claims the kill, but it's captured back by AC. The Graviton route off the Moonlight Vigil, and Juliera finds one back as well. Liberty again, they come out on top, but this time it's with kills.
But for Furia, they lose the kill. They're not completely out of it. Vital is going to get so much alone time on that turret. If Furia could just push Juliera off this turret, it would actually be okay for them.
One man, but Liberty, they do walk away with the win. The only real shining light here is Vital on that top side, but let's see a replay how that bot fight planned out.
Yeah, and once again, AC just body blocking everything is terrifying. The initial catch onto Waz is good, but because of the lack of damage, as much as they're putting down Waz, you can't finish him. And the moment Waz steps past AC, you can already see Furia just like, we can't really take this. And it's only here when Liberty actually splits, when AC's not standing right in front. That's when they get the dive onto Waz, but the TP commit from Kiari to come down here, which by the way isn't a bad idea, because Kiari's already struggling that top side. Getting him some kills or assists goes a long way towards helping that Gwen. Unfortunately, only the one assist, so not quite worth the CS here missing, but the idea was good.
And I did really like, again, AC's Glacial Prison there to completely stop IU from continuing, as Goot and Zai commit in. IU gets blocked with Tuts in that slow field, so it completely splits the team by just stopping the carries and following up, and they do pick apart Goot and Zai on the way out. So again, AC doing so well in these early skirmishes. The Herald crashes into mid lane, but a gold back for Furia. Keeps it very close, only 200 behind, despite the fact that, as we pointed out before, Liberty have felt pretty in control all game long.
Yeah, and we've mentioned before, for Liberty as well, that's perfectly fine for them. They're just sitting back and skilling. Furia, being within spitting distance of gold, is a thankful thing for them. They ideally would have been ahead, and Vital has been doing his best try up top, but AC has been answering that, and now they're going to start hitting their power spikes soon. That first item is going to be critical for Furia. That's when Kennen becomes a huge threat, able to dive backline with things like Protobelt, potentially. You know, that's when Tuts on that sort of first item, especially since he's going lethality first, that's going to hit hardest at that point, before armor is being built, and that's when IU can just start chucking out arrows, looking for these engages, non-committal engages. So if you hit the wrong target, if you're hitting AC, that's fine. You don't have to commit on that. But if you hit any squishy targets, like Juliera, well, that's when Furia push the go button, find the insta-picks, and then look to get objectives after.
Furia still biding their time in this early game, keeping it nice and close, largely off that top lane lead as we hit a game pause right now. If we hear any more information about what that is, we will let you know. We saw coming up the lower third earlier there. Next game, Red versus VKS, our match of the day. A very, very impactful matchup. A lot of emotional ties to that one as well.
Yeah, and it's not just emotional too, right? The mechanical skill between those teams are absolutely cracked. I mentioned before, I think Cade Stars, a team with a very high variance, right? Really, really high highs, really, really low lows. Red's kind of been in that sort of same category as well, right? Where we've seen them struggle against Liberty and Kaboom in the early game, and then we've seen them perform really well against teams like Pain, against teams like Loud as well. So that one's definitely going to be spicy. It really does feel like who's going to show up on the day. And if I recall correctly, I think Aegis in an interview basically said, "Oh, Gravatar can't even win on a coin flip." That to me struck me as particularly apt because this match coming up after Furia versus Liberty does indeed feel like a bit of a coin flip.
Yeah, it's a very tough one to call. Rudyard and 4i4 will be the ones casting you through that one, so stick around everybody to catch that after this. But for now, with Liberty and Furia, I personally had quite high hopes for this match. I think a lot of people thought this one was going to be a bit of a snoozer, maybe just thought Furia would kind of run over them. But again, the Liberty early game is proving a very tough nut to crack, especially for a Furia that has started to show a few cracks of their own. And we're going to be waiting to see how they leverage those tools, as you said, the Ash Arrows and the Cannon Ults, once it moves away from the lane scraps and towards those full-on objective fights with the flank angles, with the picks as a potential option. And we need to see that kind of diversity of play from both these teams, right? We need to see them show more than just hands in the lane.
Yeah, interestingly, we kind of saw everybody clustering around Woz there on Liberty's side, so I wonder if something's happened with Woz's peripherals or a computer or something there. Juliera and Woz, at least in the laning phase, have been doing perfectly fine. Have been doing really, really well. Juliera is, keeping up, and we said that Juliera has been stepping up a little bit more recently, but it's been mostly champions like Kaiser, right, which consider a bit more lane dominant, a bit of an earlier power spike. Aphelios to me is a much better test because that's your traditional scaling AD carry, and that's an AD carry who really can 1v5 as long as you've got one tank in front of you who can buy you some time. So if we want to kind of see if Juliera has truly woken up, if Liberty is really starting to step up individually, I think this game is going to be a particularly good test of that.
Yeah, 100%. I have liked what I've seen from Juliera in a kind of playmaking potential and just being naturally skilled in the lane. We always knew that he had hands in the lane from the Callista days way back when, previous splits. But it still has not been without the occasional misstep, right? The red game does have at least one major instance of Juliera kind of cracking under that pressure late into that game. So it's progress. We're not all there yet, but it's very rare to see a player that will actually just come out as a perfect fully formed unit straight out of the academy system, and plenty of time for Juliera to keep scaling up. And for this Liberty roster, as we kind of said at the start in the pregame, I said I don't really think they're going to make playoffs. I think they're more likely to than lost, but that's not really saying much. So I'm not sure what I kind of want for this team going into next split, right? Going into 2024, I don't know if I want to see them all stay together because I don't know how much high potential this roster has, but there's certainly players here that I do want to see continuing. So I don't know if this needs to shuffle out individual members here and keep the core, or maybe these players split up into tougher rosters. I don't know. How do you feel, RMC, about like what maybe the future of this Liberty roster is?
Like I said, I like the idea Liberty had last split with a lot of rookies trying to grow up the academy system, pick a team from there and grow them up. Putting Avenger and Woz in for a bit of veterancy, I appreciate that as well. I just need them to show me that there's a reason for them to keep this roster together. And specific to this game so far, Trajan, AC has certainly been giving me really, really good vibes. His Sejuani has been immaculate right now, starting with that first blood as well, on that top side where he just goes in 1v2. He knows his Sejuani. He's playing aggressively. He's not saying, oh, it's a utility tank, I'll wait till 6. No. I'm making action happen. Bodyguarding Woz and Juliera. That fight, again, the fact that the moment AC kind of steps up, Furia steps back a little bit. They know that you're a bit too tanky for us to chew through. That's been a good start. We mentioned Juliera was doing well. Avenger's doing pretty good in the mid lane as well with his Azir. Kiari's ironically the one person who we talked up in the pregame, who I'm now actually a little bit concerned about. I know Gwen will scale. I know Gwen is generally immune. But at least in this laning phase, he does not appear immune to the unsubtle nature of Batao's cannon.
No, not immune to a matchup this bad, it seems. Unfortunately, is the Gwen. And we'll have to see if there are any Gigo-esque Gwen performances in his near future as we get out of that laning phase. He has been, they've both been carrying the torch for this pick, right? I love that we do still have players that have that one pick where the Gigo Gwen always comes out, even if the champion is not being picked by lots of other people, as we are back into the action here. It's Kiari trying desperately to have the rare instance of crashing a wave in this lane, but will not be able to do so as AC has other things to do.
I gotta be honest, to me, the question is that a crash or is that you getting frozen on?
Yeah, it was so close. I thought AC was gonna help him shepherd it in, but he was like, nah, I've got camps, my friend. See you later. I'm having a good game. I'm not gonna waste it up here.
Yeah, and I feel bad for Chiari because now Chiari is stuck in that bush going like, okay, I'm just going to soak EXP because if I step up and Batao sees me right now, I'm in a little bit of trouble. Now, Exhaust has come back up for Chiari, so I don't think we're going to see a solo kill in the top lane. But if you're forcing Chiari to burn the Exhaust at that moment, it makes your team fights so much easier for you.
Do you have a dragon coming up in 20 seconds, RMC? So potential team fight fodder on the horizon. Furia Zai putting some vision down. A lot of Liberty members about to try and make their way into the river. No TP for either top laner, so they're going to keep having their little punch up there. And Furia right now do not want to give up control of this river. You know, they've got the Maokai saplings, they've got the Ash Arrows, they've got a lot of threat to forge through for Liberty.
Yeah, and this time with the Kraken Consider completed for IU, they can actually kind of hurt AC in these extended fights, so they definitely don't want to concede that. We actually saw Batao recall, pick up the Proto Belt, and is now walking to this bot lane. So Furia, they're in full position, and Liberty, you got to give this up. If you actually fight this, it might break the game open.
Yeah, Chiari's
could
have a whole... He gets to crash a wave now. Look at him. He gets to finally crash a wave in top lane. That's worth the chem take Drake. Drake doesn't do that much anyway, so they're going to go all up into that top side. And Chiari finally is going to have a bit of moment of peace up there. I think this is the right call, right? A mature decision by Liberty to go, actually, this is bad. We shouldn't drag Chiari down here. We're just going to lose in this 5v5. You don't need to pull any fast ones here. We're still up in the goal.
Yeah, just sit back, just kill. Now, I will mention, we are past 14 minutes. So Chiari gets the crash mount, the kill.
Batao and just drop every ultimate in the business on his head. We could do that.
Well, that happened real fast. I was still like, oh, you know, Chiari doesn't get plates. And Batao walks into the middle of 5 members. Really good pick from Liberty to be able to find that even without the exhaust for them. But Furia, we said it before, we might call them kids, but their playstyle is anything but immature. They're answering back with the turret on that bot lane. Tuts able to pick that one up completely uncontested.
So close as well to actually being first turret gold in Chiari's pocket. After all the jokes about him not being able to crash a wave, he almost got the first turret of the game up there for Liberty, and is going to be able to step back with a lot more freedom to play with now the lane is much longer for Batao. We'll see how the way they want to assign him, right? If they want to leave him up there, if they want to send Avenger up there. Currently Avenger is soaking up farm in the bot lane, but where they want to put Gwen and how they want to try and accelerate him forward to that first item to get him into that team fighting monster as well.
Yeah, and I'm curious if they actually put Chiari in a safer lane or in a more extended lane, more dangerous lane without coverage. Herald, though, second Herald being started up by Furia. AC got interrupted on the recall, so I think Furia was like, okay, we've got a timing window. Surprise, you don't. TP coming through from Avenger.
Kind of separated right now, but Tao has a flash. Could look for a flank with the ultimate to try and get himself out of danger. But he's kind of shook back and flashed over the wall himself. All 10 members are here. A TP up from Avenger. And the Herald went down, picked up by AC as well, so Liberty, no need to fight over anything else.
I actually thought Goot sniped it for a second, the way he kind of got in there. Really risky play from Goot, did have to expend the flash to get out. But honestly, from a jungler, that's kind of what you want them to try and do, and the fact that Goot didn't die, the attempt is definitely worth it, right? If you did manage on the off chance to steal the Herald, would have been massive. Now Liberty, who already have a bit of a lead, have been doing really well in the early game, as we expect from them. Now we have second Herald. Let's see what they're able to find with it. Which turret do they look to crack?
Tuts might be in danger here. Chiari comes out, AC over the wall, doesn't flash a TP in to make it a 2 versus 2. And look at the rotations up the river, getting a bit dicey. The ult goes wide from AC and Zai, maybe looks for the counter. Batao in, but exhausted by Chiari. Flashes, but away from his team. The hostile takeover splits them apart. Another Kennen is all on his lonesome. Liberty will just bully circle him in that top rush. And again, Liberty wins out on the play.
And huge from Chiari. We were talking earlier about the 1v1, the fact that Batao can burn the exhaust. It's massive in team fights. And this is precisely why Batao goes and gets exhausted, isn't able to do the damage. And because Furia picked the fight early, thinking it was a 3v1, 3v2, turns out, surprise, no, it's a 4v3. Was there. The hostile takeover to follow meant that no one could pull up in Batao. If you're exhausted, if you don't have the damage, nobody's there to clean up after.
I'm looking at this game, RMC. I've got my magnifying glass out and I'm thinking, how did Liberty lose this one? How do we throw this one away? Look at the gold grab. Juliera is so rich in this game. And it feels like he hasn't even been part of that much of it. It feels like it's been all AC and so much more on mid and top lane. But this Aphelios is super fed. No one's really behind. They're ahead. They're even in Dragons. They've got a gold lead. How do we do it, RMC? How do we toss this?
If you're Liberty, you don't want to. And the problem is, we're asking this question because we've seen Liberty do it before, right? I think back to the Red game. Yeah, like where Liberty was dominating against Red, and then it kind of went sour from them. And from Liberty, the reason why we've seen that has been in the mid game sometimes. They're not careful with their lane assignments. Multiple members get picked on their own in a side lane, and then the opposing team kind of rolls right through them. But we've not seen any signs of that this game. Liberty has done a great job reacting. Furia, as we expected through the mid game with their composition, they're the ones on the front foot. They're the ones who want to make action happen, and they've been trying. But it's been Liberty answering them every time. Herald drop in the mid lane, Trajan, and you know what that means?
Yeah, Liberty not answering this time. They're posing the question with the Herald drop in mid view over the wall. There's the pay. RMC finally has it. See, I can't set off you now because you've had it now. So,
yeah,
you know, we were going to
double pay
from you, but okay, that's maybe a first. He did get the double pay for RMC. So now he's got one. The floodgates have opened as an engage onto Goop, but now the Ash Arrow slows down the Azir damage. Wasp round dropped to hostile takeover. Might need a bailout to keep that Azir alive.
Everybody's here
already. Flash away from Avenger, and Batao didn't choose to take the flank angle.
Tuts.
But Tuts snipes away the Azir. He still goes down. Finally, Liberty have been punished for something.
Yeah, and that's critical. Unfortunately, Batao wasn't actually in position, couldn't find a good angle into the fight. The walls were in his way. No flash portal belt wouldn't take you over that. And now Chiari with a match of his own.
IU flashes over the wall, avoids
they're getting collapsed on.
Looking for a flank. There's plenty of Fury members here.
Oh dear.
Try and get the flail in, and they'll snipe out the Ash, and now Fury in full retreat. Tots coming back round. Does have their shot glass. AC looking a little bit low. Watch out for that damage.
Chiari, don't stop.
Getting chased down by Chiari. Massive slicing Maelstrom from the cannon. It was all a bait. Furious snapped the jaws of the trap closed, and Chiari left on his lonesome. Here comes the throw.
Well, Trajan, we asked how do Liberty lose this? And sure enough, Liberty overextend a little bit. It starts off, with that pick onto Avenger, right? Trying to push on his own. Furia just collapsed like the jaws of a trap. And I actually really liked Chiari rotating down. I thought getting the pick onto IU, absolutely massive. They looked like they had the better flank angle. But Batao, who has been struggling to leverage these team fights, played that one perfectly. And as we get the replay, this is after Avenger has already gone down. So this is the collapse onto IU. And IU insta-cleanse, insta-flash, and this buys a lot of time. But watch Batao, because he's the hero of this particular fight. They kind of ignore Batao, and I don't know if, maybe Liberty didn't track the slicing Maelstrom timing and was like, oh wait, we had the last fight, it's probably down, right? But no. In fact, they kind of bait everybody in. And now that Tuts is here, the call slicing Maelstrom crushes all of Liberty in that choke point.
Absolute murder there, and you can see no exhaust for Chiari. The anti-slicing Maelstrom button was not available. He wanted to get stuck in on the Gwen, but gives up so much. So now the gold lead brought right back up to almost even. Liberty still in a little bit of a lead, but now down in the Drake department, and that top lane tower is not long for this world. So now that Furia have that first kill, we'll see if this galvanizes them into action. They do still have this comp with the Ash Arrows, with the Maokai ults, with the Cannon ultimates that's once again almost back off cooldown. They do have the tools to keep trying to push any momentum they have.
Yeah, and Trajan, gold is one thing. We get to see total gold, but the players only see items, and items are pretty much even. Tuts' mirror mana just completed, and so Furia are going to feel really good after that last fight. The question to me is, for Liberty, how do they feel after that last fight? Are they still comfortable saying that, hey, we're still fine? Or do we start seeing them get a little bit desperate and make a little bit aggressive plays? Because that's traditionally where they start to throw. They're coming for Batao here. Great dodge.
Sidestep from the cannons. Get out the Glacial Prison. And Maokai will slow them down once
split.
again. Now have Liberty step too far for this Furia. Are they going to look for more? Looks like they'll let them step away with just the warning.
Yeah, Tuts is still split pushing mid lane. So Furia don't want to engage this. They're going to take advantage. And Jace is a physical damage champion. He takes turrets incredibly quickly. You can already see being left alone, just trying to rotate. He's going to take at least half that turret. More, because Liberty have to recall to run back mid.
Getting cancelled. AC getting pushed up to top side. Big gold swing for Furia, and now they are suddenly decidedly in the lead in that department as well. Items or no. Look at that gold graph. Liberty gets through the early game, feels pretty good, and all of a sudden it's going a little south. Now, they do have scaling champions this time. We've got to see it. We've got to Phelios. They do still have tools that will stack up later.
Yeah, and Trajan, it does feel currently like whoever's pulling the trigger, whoever's getting a little bit hyphy first, is struggling. And that's more like a playground squabble than I expect. It's coming out a lot to discipline, because both these teams have such good tools to play defensively with, right? When we saw Furia's initial drop with the Ashe, with the Jace, with the Maokai, we're saying that, oh, you know, they can poke, they can let Liberty play into them, and we just saw what happened. And likewise with Liberty, when we saw Furia look to engage with the Emperor's Divide, with the hostile takeover, with the exhaust from Chiari, they are able to soak so much as well. So watch to see how these teams are going to look to engage. Look to see who's set up first and who's more patient and willing to let the other team play into them.
So far it is Liberty with the setup in the Baron River. Full vision control around there. Furia trying to push their way up the mid lane. He takes some control. Chiari's bringing back up. Alsharo's there. Big damage onto Wasp, and Zai goes in, but he's right back out with the TP.
Instant again.
Cleansed up from Ayu. Watch for Batao on the flank. He's been murdering them with those slicing maelstroms. Out comes the Renato. Oh, catches so many in the Berserk. Wasp finds the kill onto Zai. Turns Tuts against him and will get one for Liberty as the Sun Disc goes up.
Okay, Tuts is still up, the poke is still good, and Liberty, as much as we praise their composition scaling, do need to make sure they're not being poked out. They raise the Sun Disc, as you mentioned. It's going to buy some time as they fall back onto Baron. Furia, they have to come into this one. Do they have Hawk Shot? Comes across.
They've got the vision, Batao with Flash Ultimate still. They have a lot of threat here. Tuts doesn't have the Shot Blast. They peel away Liberty. No, they don't want to get caught in the pit. Chiara in the front line, drops the Hallowed Mist, chasing down onto Goop, but can't get much done. And the health bars from Liberty are going lower, man. I think it's time to call the whole thing off.
Yep, 100%. The fact that Batao is still threatening your flank with, as you mentioned, Flash Slicing Maelstrom available, you can see Liberty, they disengage in really good order. They make sure that they're clumped enough to stop Kennen from picking anybody on their lonesome, but not clumped enough that they're all going to get shafted by a single ultimate. And Furia, they're disciplined as well. The fact that Batao didn't rush in, they know the assignment right now is just peel them off there. We don't have to get kills. We can do that later.
You see very, very tanky already. You can see on the Sejuani, 3-1 and 4. Watch slap bang into two members of Furia. Barely takes a scratch, but Tuts again will secure that tower. His objective damage must be just massive in this game. He's going to get away for free this time as well. But Liberty, once again, trying to take more control of this top side. Trying to get control of that Baron River. They had it before. It didn't seem to really make it stick. Furia pushing up this mid lane. They've already got those ults back again. The Ashe Hour at this point in the game is just almost always ready to go.
And with Trinity Force, Kraken's there completed for Ayu as well. We say AC is really tanky, but I'd love to see what Ayu can do to AC. We've actually not gotten to see that poke happen just yet.
Stepping forward again. Furia cannot really deal the damage. Batao there on the flank. AC still tanking up that front line as Avenger rotates through. Tuts a little far away. And yeah, we can see that start to sting. It's not all utility with the Ashe now with the Kraken Slayer with the item changes. Now that you can have both, it's pretty scary in both ways.
Yeah, it's still a bit of a slow cook, but the cooking is happening, and AC does have to be careful not to be vacant by the end of it. Batao looking for another flank. Was spotted on that ward, so Liberty will know it's coming. But it's a long ways away. It's a long trip. Tuts on the other side. That poke needs to start landing right now.
Liberty are so packed into this river, man. They're so close together, and Batao's managed to make his way behind them. I don't think he's been spotted on vision. You see Ashe Arrow goes out, Malkiel as well. Where's the Kennen? Where's the Kennen? Batao over the wall finds Azir on his own, drops it just for the one kill, but that could be all they need. AC has finally been chunked low. And now it's Furia with control of the Baron River.
Yeah, and there's still Rakan Ultimate as well, so Liberty to walk into this is so dangerous. Oh my goodness, Tuts. Okay, that looked worse than it actually was because AC's already low, but a second one would kill AC, and that is a great Baron take from Furia. They play this so patiently. It starts with Tuts' split pushing, it ends with an ambush from the bush, and a massive long flank from the tower.
Furia looks for the answer, finds the mid lane tower, and the Cloud Drake will picked up as well. Furia will not be able to threaten a soul in the near future. They've got that gold lead to play with, and now they have the Baron minions to push with. They've got a Kennen, they've got a Jace. Strong split pushing elements. And we have struggled with the split pushing in the past in this region, just on the execution side. See if Furia has what it takes to get the value here.
Now, for Liberty, they'll kind of have to group up and defend what's going to happen next. In fact, that's actually what we've been seeing Liberty do. It's not been the Chiari split push, the Gwen, that you picked originally for that side lane scaling and dominance. If anything, it was actually Avenger split pushing on a side. And now you've got a problem because Tuts has been such an effective split pusher. With Barret, it only gets worse for you. Who's going to answer a 4-1 split push from Tuts on Liberty side?
AC currently holding the fort down in that bot lane. Chiari rotating through with Was as well. I doubt they'll be able to hold this tower. Furia taking full control of that bot side jungle as Avenger is fully splitting on the top side. He has to TP if he needs, but honestly, if Liberty can just trade these towers roughly 1-for-1, that's alright.
Yeah, if you can change it, and that's the big if. For now, though, surprisingly, Furia actually opt to back off. So, really good call from Liberty and Avenger in specific to be able to get this. One thing I actually want to talk about Avenger is build. He went with Crown of the Shattered Queen that we see a lot with Azir's. Normally, I actually don't like that build unless you're playing up against Assassin, but against Jay specifically, it's actually pretty efficient because you often get poked down by the Shock Blast. Crown will block that. But it does mean you don't have the combat stats for team fighting. And that's why we're seeing Liberty constantly rotate Avenger out to a side lane, get him gold. He's picked up the Nashers too. They want to get him a damage item as well so that he can be more in the team fights. Then after that happens, that's when I think we're going to see Chiari get sent to the side lanes. Not to necessarily match split push from Tuts or Batal, but to actually pick up farm and then become that split push threat later on that he was always meant to be on this one.
There is still so much room for this roster to evolve in terms of its power in this game. They just have to get there, and they've managed to hold on to the outside of the base. Still an outer tower to play with. Furia using the last of their Baron power play. Knock this structure down. But Liberty are tough to get into. We mentioned the disengage tools, the Renata ultimate, Azir ultimate, Aphelios. If you don't get the perfect pick, you can throw it all away yourself, going for a risky dive. But Goot wants to call that risk. Drops the ultimate, Nature's Wrath. No damage on the tower just yet. The engage kind of whiffs. Wow. Furia just lose that ult.
Yeah, really well played from Liberty, actually, on that. We've been harping on Furia's discipline, but if you watch the way Liberty stood as well to make sure that AC tanked the Nature's Grasp, and then everybody else is kind of funneled in the gaps to make sure that we didn't get locked up. Now, it does save them from this wave. There's one more wave coming, which will get half a wave of Baron push, but I think it's kind of over for Furia. They didn't actually manage to take that much, considering the buff they took, and if anything, if you couldn't do it now, your odds actually get worse, Trajan. So Liberty, they're sat real happy after that Baron power play.
Yeah, it was 1-for-1 in turrets, and that's it. You know, they got some jungle camps, I think, but overall, the Baron power play was fairly meager. A lot of the lead was just comes from when you get the Baron itself. So Liberty weathered that storm very well. Did not offer up an opportunity to punish. Didn't get baited into any silly engages. They held the line, used their champions how they can be used. And they can continue that scaling game as we have a third item completed for Avenger now going into the Void Staff.
Trajan, I think I'm getting baited into believing a Liberty win right now.
I know. I was baited early on, right? I was like, how do we lose this? This early game is so good, and we've got the late game potential scaling advantage. How does this go wrong? And we thought it maybe had, but now we're kind of stabilized, and we're not even close to a soul point yet. There's plenty of room for Liberty to find the way out. Yeah,
and so I think the question is now on the other foot, right? The question is, how do Furia look to win this game at this point? Because Liberty are starting to hit the point where even if they mess up, right? Void Staff completed for Avenger, even if they do get picked, they can still hold and turtle under their turrets in the face of a Baron power play. So for Furia, then this means either you need to get more kills, like one pick is not going to be enough, or else you're really going to struggle to push. And I'm looking right now at Elder as a win con for Furia. They need to clear out dragons as fast as they can. And for Liberty, the ideal situation for them is actually not to take Soul, but to take one dragon, deny, and then give away the Nyx. So it takes forever to get to Elder. And then by that time, Liberty's just going to simply outscale and win any team fight they walk into.
Yeah, just go and hold that river, but don't start the dragon. Just go, no one's allowed to take it. We can't have it, no one can have it. This is going to just stay. We're going to preserve this dragon, all right? We're not going to let him get eaten up. As currently Furia do have control of that bot side river. 30 seconds until the next Cloud Drake spawns. But as you've said, Liberty are not under a huge amount of pressure to take this one. The gold keeps ticking higher for them. All they really need to do is not present an option for an Ash Hour, and they should be okay.
Yeah, and they've got to be careful about grouping. You do want a contest to slow down the dragon take as much as possible. And never mind, they're looking for Ayu.
Well, they caught Ayu, but Goot is one gets pulled back. And Malkail is there. Damage traded either way, and a TP in from Chiari. But Tau holds it, though. Push that bot side in. Sundesk goes down in the mid lane. Liberty have a tower to play around as Tut's still poking. These empowered shot blasts are landing. Avenger on the front line could look for a shuffle, but Liberty maybe see an angle to get the inside track towards the mid lane tower. But Batal's coming around again. I don't know, man. Out comes the Ash Hour onto AC with no buff inside. He gets caught out. Killing spree for Juliera. And it's one kill for Liberty.
Okay, Zai going in. That's the first sort of overextension we've really seen come through from Furia. They're playing that so well. This is not a great position for Liberty.
Towards the top. Yes, gets out with a stopwatch though. If he'd gone down, that could have been disaster. Batal looking for it, threatens with the Proto Belt. Definitely spooks them, but Liberty still safe for the time being, and they know where Batal is.
Baron, pardon me, has respawned at this time, Trajan, and now Liberty are in a awkward position. They've got the numbers advantage. They want to go for this, but the question is how quickly can you take it? Because if you can't take it quick, Tuts will keep shredding you on the side. Instead, Liberty, are they going to go for Dragon instead? They're moving down for it. It'd be good if they can get it, but the TP coming in from Tuts.
Dear. We gotta give this one up, lads. The double
Matau,
TP, they've got the flank from Matau. This could be devastating. Juliera has his flash.
Avenger's
He might
coming.
need to drop it. Kennen is there. Surely they see him now, and Avenger TP's into support. They slip away as the Maokai ultimate comes down again, but Furia, they should be able to pick up this Dragon. And ultimately, after all that, what we expected to happen in 15 seconds happens in about 2 minutes.
That's good for Trajan. Only one body dropped, right? Zai was the only one, I think, who actually died in the entire exchange. But it's so tense right now, and it's not about mechanics. It's not about tactics, Trajan. It's all strategy at this point. And shot calling from these teams. Not something that I honestly expect to see at 30 minutes of CBLOL. Normally it's ARAM into objectives, right? And no, Fury and Liberty, two of our younger squads, are not doing that. It's a cerebral game. It's about map control, about TPs burnt. Now all the TPs are down though. It is going to come down to a brute force fight.
It's about raw brute force of the Baron. That's what it's about now. No one's got TP. We're going back to
5K?
basics.
It's already gone.
Going onto AC, but it's picked up by Liberty. They've already got what they need. Will they be allowed to escape? No one's really got an angle into them, but Tao doesn't have the flank. Kiari's trying to keep him at bay, and Liberty just take that one clean.
Yep, and that's the scaling advantage. That's your champions. And Liberty, we never really doubted their hands, right? It's always been a question of decision making for them. They passed the decision check a minute or 2 minutes ago. And so when it comes to, you know, just a straight up Baron 5v5, Liberty are perfectly happy with that. That is the situation in which they excel. Furia did manage to pick up the Dragon though, so that Dragon stacking win con for Furia is still ticking. How effective it'll be will depend a lot on how hard Liberty can push with this Baron, because both teams have been struggling right now to crack those base turrets.
Liberty will be the one with the TP coming up first with Kiari. Almost got his Unleashed back, and he's on that split push. As you'd expected, RMC, they have now moved the Gwen into the side lane. The other 4-man unit pushing down this mid lane, but giving plenty of space. You can see doesn't want to risk the Ash Arrow or losing track of Batal. They've got top lane under control now as well.
Yeah.
He's still on vision. Furia with the Hawk shot, they know where they are. It's so awkward, man. It's so tense every second. I'm waiting for Liberty to put a foot wrong and get caught and die, but so far they're holding the nerve.
Yeah, and they are holding Furia in the mid lane as well. Finally, Tuts moving up to respawn. This push would be a lot more effective if Kiari actually had Nash's 2 complete. And that's kind of the saving grace for Furia right now, that they can answer Sundisk drop into the mid lane. Liberty are committing to this one, and it makes it so much harder for Batal to look for that flank onto this team.
Yeah, they know they're dropping the wards from Was. AC just pushing his face into the brushes. They know where the Kennen is likely to be, and they pushed him back into the base. Kiari now, Geeky tested in topside. Zai look at D-Gage 1 versus 2 rotation from Liberty. They need to be careful on this rotation though. Don't want to get caught out with a flash in from the Kennen. And they'll get away with it clean. Another good execution, and now the minions are starting to knock on the turrets.
Yeah, great Nature's Grasp from Boot to make sure the rest of the team couldn't follow up, but it does mean that the team can rotate back into mid a little bit faster. Siege minion finally goes down. That one was knocking at the turret for a disgusting amount of time. 45 seconds left should be enough for Liberty to at least take mid.
Avenger takes a big shot, blasts down to half HP. Baron powerful with 40 seconds. Ayu Arrow comes out, gets cleansed away by Was, and they will rack the base. Look at the damage fired back into Furia now. And they have to step back, the inhibitor likely to fall. It's slowly but surely becoming fully Liberty map control here, though Avenger again drops ever lower.
Liberty, I'm willing to be baited at this point. Like, surely. No, I won't say it. I won't say it.
Okay, hold on. Don't get baited just yet. There's a fight on the horizon. AC drops low, but Zaya on the flank doesn't quite have the position. Batal looking for an angle. He still has his flash. Liberty running for their lives right now. Out comes the Shirelias, and that should give them the distance. They've got the inhib out, and they've got away.
I was watching Batal's TP timer. It just came up, but there's no ward for Furia to teleport to look for that flag, and that ends up being Liberty's saving grace. It's only a minute away from Cloud Soul potentially from Furia Trajan, but it feels like the whole Baron power play just went over in the blink of an eye. Liberty are in a great position, and we're seeing Furia are struggling to play into Liberty's composition. They are fully online. Nash's Tooth now completed from Kiari means that Liberty can now look to split push, and I don't know who's going to answer that. I don't think Tuts wins that 1v1 anymore.
doesn't feel like Furia have much of an answer to any of this, right? Even when they catch them up with the Ash Arrows, with the Nature's Grasp, if they don't have the massive flank from Vital to make it work, it doesn't seem like they just have the tools to get the job done. As now Liberty step into this river, they're going to grab the Scuttle, they'll clear up the jungle, make sure all of their I's are dotted, their T's are crossed, to look for what could be a very pivotal fight. It is just the Cloud Soul, but if Furia can use this to get the fight they need, these games could end on the turn of a dime, could end just like that.
Yeah, and Trajan, I think you got it right. It's not about the objective, it's about the fight that can come out. AC.
Kiari zoning away Vital, and Boots dropping ever lower. Ash Arrow comes down to Avenger. Hostile takeover only catches on to one. And nobody goes down. Vital still has the tools to make a play, but Liberty peel back towards the Dragon River.
Oh, Kiari still punishing Vital. Vital has teleport. They need a ward for him to get to, though. It'll be 12 seconds total, 8 for the recall, 4 for the TP. Goot doesn't have ult to try and fight this, and Liberty, they're going to get it. Can they get out?
Down, Wasp drops
TP from
low,
Vital.
TP from Vital, but he doesn't have really a flight. They can block them from getting back to the base, though. Liberty are being cut off from safety as Kennen will head round into the lane. AC on the front line, taking damage from the shot blast. At some point, Liberty might be forced to stand and fight. A beautiful escape from Avenger, gets away from Zai's flash, and they have the Sun Disc. They always have that extra line of defense, and now they're the ones with a potential push onto the Furia tower. A lovely stopwatch from Avenger. Just in time again, he is wasting so much of Furia's resource.
Liberty's going deeper. They take an inner turret on that bot lane, but how deep can you go before you're too deep? Tuts now on the other end. The poke still landing Vital. Yeah. Goot's there as well. His house about to come back up.
Drop the ultimate. He's just about got his single outcomes.
He got Kiari.
Well, he's been killed. They need to fight this Kennen. Shuffle back from Avenger.
It's so
It will be a trade, but Avenger's
not like this.
Into the bailout. There's no way he survives, and Liberty
are
going to hold the L on this fight. They did get the objectives they want, but they will lose everything for it. Can Juliera at least
base
step his way to safety?
Furious
Zai
base
needs to be careful.
They're losing Nexus turrets. The supers have been pushing, and Jalera finds Zai on the back end of things. Zai was just trying to recall. Furia realized they're in trouble, but it's too late. That Nexus turret, it's on a sliver of health right now, Trajan, and Liberty's advantages, they're all piling up and they're making sure they can't lose. Because if those supers weren't pushing, Furia might actually have turned that game.
Yeah, they could have chased harder for those final kills, right? Turned it into Baron, maybe cracked the base, even up the inhib tallies, and we could be back to parity here. The gold is still almost dead even Dragons, but it's 10 turrets to Liberty to the 5 of Furia. They've got all the inhibs exposed. The last Nexus tower is 1 hit from dead. Nothing is safe in the Furia base, and one more lost fight. They are just going to lose this game.
Yeah, and Liberty, they can walk up here. It's an exposed base. If anything, Furia have to be terrified of a backdoor TP from Kiari right now. That's an basically exposed Nexus. You could just walk up and finish off that turret, or just take all the inhibitors if you want. Furia setting up to try and contest this Baron. Let's see if Liberty play the same game, or if Liberty just opt to end the game.
Liberty opting into that mid lane push as Furia forcing onto the Baron. They are on vision. They're not doing it awfully fast either. You can tell they really want to force a fight instead. But AC is still so tanky on the front line. They don't know where Vital is. He doesn't have his flash though. If they walk in blind, they might get caught out. The Baron is picked up. Coot secures it, and AC backs away. Liberty won't have that tool, but do they want to find the fight? Do they want to just try and end it right here? Moonlight Vigil is used, and no one's caught up. Furia have that tool to buy themselves some time.
Furia just bluffed with an empty hand. There was no reason Furia got to take that. Liberty is stronger than 5v5. We've seen that happen. But Liberty, a bit of a split call, hesitating. Do we end? Do we not? They saw the Baron going down, but I want to highlight the fact that Ayu and Tuts weren't both on the Baron at the same time. Ayu was damaging it. Tuts was more playing keep away, and they kind of tricked Liberty. Liberty was like, oh, they can't do it that quickly. As soon as that ward went down, Tuts turned around, and they took that Baron right away, caught Liberty off guard, and with Nature's Grasp, it's not been a great catch tool, but the disengage potential is still there. Furia buy a new lease on life with this Baron buff. They took a turret already. What else can they do with it? Is it just going to be a stalling Baron Trajan, or can they actually try and maybe make a play, make a threat into the Liberty's base?
It gives them valuable time to try and complete what looks like Rabadon's for Vital. That could make that flank, if they can find it once again, even more devastating. We're full build on Tuts' Jace, approaching it for Ayu's Ashe, as AC doesn't want to let them build that up. That's going to give him the chance. Vital on the flank again, but still doesn't have the flash, and Liberty can't find the kills. They can't quite get it over the line.
Okay, arrow coming out. It looks like just a stall tactic. There's no actual follow-up on this. And Trajan in draft, I'd say Liberty, oh, they're fine. They got Sejuani for engage. I'm coming to regret those words, because the Sejuani alone is not enough to get past all the disengage from Furia. And that's why we're seeing Liberty struggle to close this one out.
Sejuani drops pretty low now. All of these items for Furia are starting to cut through that front line. And the backline as well doesn't love it. Sundisk won't do much. It delays again. It's a minute left on the Baron power play. Liberty have wasted some more time at least, but no real inroads been made.
Yeah, and now they've got the wave, they're pushing up as a whole. Keep an eye on that ward in Furia's base, by the way. Chiari has TP, and the Furia also have to be aware of that. I don't think they saw it. Can Liberty stall?
Please don't get lovely caught. Handshake, cancels the to the skies. Was probably would have popped like a balloon if that hammer had come down, but Juliera holding down that line. I love that you pointed out that ward. You can see the pings going onto it on the map as well. It's like those minions from before, right? Liberty have an ace in their sleeve to try and split Furia's focus if it comes down to it.
And hopefully it doesn't, but you can tell that Liberty want to make use of the ward. I think it's already too late. Furia have already disengaged here, and Liberty needed to keep up the pressure to lock Furia into a fight. I don't know how much longer is left on that ward, but I'm assuming it's going to expire soon, and Trajan, Liberty are going to need to drop a new one if they want to continue having that split push threat. I don't know why I'm talking like Liberty is desperate to actually do a backdoor. They still have skill on their side. They're still strong.
They can just win normally.
Yeah, they can, but it just feels like they haven't been able to do it, and that's why like, it's like, okay.
They always need some sort of trick, right? If they're gonna find me, there must be some hidden value that I'm not seeing here. There must be some trick up their sleeve to make it actually work, because it just seems to be impossible otherwise. They might have a split focus right here.
Okay.
TP comes in, but down the flank, burning down. Liberty clumped up. Push back to but AC. He's been burnt down the front line, but down.
No way!
He Maelstrom, but he can't get the kills completed. Juliera still alive. Chiari's failed as well. It's a 4 versus 3, but a Sundisk as well makes it still playable. Flashing from Tuts doesn't catch onto Azir, and it's not enough to end the game, I think.
Probably not end the game, but Trajan, I think, did Dragon respond? Oh no.
This recall is so greedy, but he gets engaged on 5
so much damage.
He almost served himself, but they'll survive. It's still the 3v4.
You're just tagging the turret. You can see how desperately they want to do this. No minion wave, and with Juliera and Avenger up, there's still really good wave clear from Liberty. So I think Furia just kind of have to walk away after that. Unfortunately, they're not able to pick that one up. I think Dragon went down in the chaos there to Furia. So they do have Cloud Soul, which is good. You can run a little bit faster now. But it's all about 5 minutes. Baron at this point, Trajan, I don't even care about Baron. We've seen, what, 2, 3 of them? And teams haven't been able to close out on it.
Yeah, but you know what has been secured here? Vital, that fight, he didn't even have his Rabidons yet, and now he does. So that ult is going to hurt even more if he finds that position. Now, he did have to use his flash for that. It's going to be a while before that's back, but Liberty, they do seem to have a habit of clumping up in these fights and presenting themselves a very juicy target for Vital to work with.
This was not the game I was expecting between
well,
Furia and
Liberty.
Liberty.
I had hope, man. I always had hope for this game, and it's delivering, and I feel very vindicated right now.
True, you know, a little bit before the game started in the green room, we were talking. Trajan was a little bit tired, and he was saying, okay, maybe he needs some coffee. Turns out, no, he didn't. He just needed to watch this game, because I'm sure you're awake by now, Trajan. This has been absolutely insane.
Liberty gaming.
Yeah, give me Liberty or give me death, and apparently Liberty's dealing both today. I call this a playground squabble. It has evolved greatly since then. They have taken out all the weapons right now.
This is Fight Club now. We're not scrubbing the playground. This is Fight Club to the death. It is very, very serious business now between these two teams. The win's very important for them. The Liberty playoff dream is not technically dead. It's very unlikely, but if they start picking up wins like this, if they can play strong mid and late games to complement their early game, they are going to start picking up wins against these better teams, whereas Furia, they're on the outside looking in right now. They need to get these quote-unquote easy wins out the way without this much trouble.
And we talked about, okay, Furia, this is a good team for them to kind of cut their teeth, get back in the swing of things. But imagine what happens if they lose Trajan. Then suddenly, the mental damage is massive as well. AC trying to kick things off.
going in, tries to get the engage started again, but look at that damage being fired back. Look at Ayu!
They're turning
He's
around.
going crazy, he's frontlining, he's flashing in on the Ash, but as he
He's
put it
dead.
up too far, he goes to Resurrection. Sundix is up again, Juliera is untouched on the Aphelios. Vital only gets 1 kill secure with the ultimate, but it's still Furia with the team fight win.
How is it only 1 death, Trajan? Okay, sure, there are GAs, so there were
Avenger
probably
kind
2
of
deaths.
counts. Like, look at him.
No, but he's alive. Oh, he's dead.
He is
Never
dead.
mind.
Oh my goodness gracious.
There we go. Prophet Trajan. Just calling it in advance there. Yeah, I was going to say, if he lives, he's still got TP, but he's dead. So, surprise, you don't. Liberty trying to push in mid as an answer here, but Furia now with Baron with 50-second death timers on Liberty. Furia are going to enter the base, but can they end? Oh, what is this cheese?
Okay.
Oh, no.
Julia
The base, guys.
If they get him. Oh, the Ash Arrow! It's
Oh!
genius from Ayu! If we're talking about profits, this man has the second sight. Oh my goodness! And that's massive.
Gonna cost them the game!
Them down. They're still having a fight down there, but the towers are falling. And look at the burst from Tuts and Ayu! Furia, after all of that, they managed to pull it back. And Liberty, man, the curse is just too strong. Still, the win continues to elude them.
I'm losing my mind, Trajan. What a way to end the game! And Liberty, I'm in tears. Oh my goodness. Ah, I'm looking at AC and Yari right there, and it's
Same, bro. Yeah, I feel you.
It's heartbreaking.
Juliera. I feel you on that one. Oh my word, the Ash Arrow from top lane to that exact brush.